Welcome back to another video. Wow, it's been a hot minute. It's been a whole week. We've done our laundry and coincidentally we picked the same shirt.
It's crazy.
It's incredible.
Exactly the same lighting. Nothing's changed in the background. It's all, continuity. That's what we're looking for.
That's what we do here. Just same. Keep it easy. No change, please. We don't want F1 to change. We don't want our lives to change. This is El Primo. But we are back to preview a race that we've not been at for 5 years since the 1000th F1 race. And that is the Chinese Grand Prix. Feels weird saying that to be back here. And it's not just like we're coming back here for a regular weekend. There is all sorts going on here. It's been a while since we've come here, but hey, I'm not going to let you steal the stage.
Yeah. I'm going to steal your sage and your parsley and your
no,
coriander.
Don't take him. But anyway, I'll let you take it. What's going on this weekend? What are you excited to see? Are you excited to come back here?
I mean, I'll start with that. I am. I've always liked the Chinese circuit. I've said that for, I think, the last 3 years. Every time they keep talking about coming back here, and then it's like, coronavirus is still fucked in China, so we can't go back there. So it's the first year we've actually come back because coronavirus, I guess, just isn't.
Yeah, it's a pretty big statement.
Yeah,
I guess this was the last big one to get over the line, and I
yeah.
guess it's a sign of the times that we're now back here.
Yeah, I guess it's credit to Formula One or whatever strings that went on in the background to even get it, to keep it to stay on the calendar with how that many new circuits coming through, and talk of Spa and Monaco, like they're not safe, and they're still like, okay, so the Chinese Grand Prix is being cancelled 2 years in a row. They were expected to be on the calendar, and they're like, actually no, we can't go there. Oh no, we can't go there, and they still have decided to come back here. Is like, they obviously want to come here, so which is great because, like I said, I like the circuit. And yeah, we get to see Zhou Guanyu at his home race, finally. I didn't think he'd last this long in Formula One to make it, but here
it's
we
a
are.
nice feeling, because when he came in, I mean, there was so much hype around it.
Yeah.
And they even talked about adding a second Grand Prix here because of the amount of market and value that he brought from just representing the country.
That's right.
And there was a bit of fear every time it's cancelled. It's like, damn, is he going to make it? But it is nice to see that he's here. I'm sure he's counting down the days. I have seen that all the advertising around the whole country is just him on everything, like every brand he is representing.
Yeah, I think it's sold out as well, the Grand Prix as well.
Which I was going to say is great, because it was generally decently well attended. Like, this market normally likes their Grand Prix racing, and of course they've been racing here for a while now. It even came in that area where they had a few other circuits in new areas, and some of them dropped out due to poor numbers, but this one stayed on. So it's good to see that obviously he's very likable, both in the country and throughout the world, which is fantastic. So I'm sure he's bringing a lot of people to the track who will be excited to see him. So look, we said we've got a bit going on this weekend. That's because this is the first sprint. I didn't actually realize until I was looking at this earlier, where I went, oh, it's also a sprint, as if there wasn't enough to think about.
Before we even go into that whole thing.
Okay.
I want to talk about, like, do you think it's, because I've mentioned this in previous videos. I don't remember when. Maybe it might have been like a pre. Well, I was gonna say, like, is it a smart idea to have a sprint weekend here? I'm sure I raised this point.
It's either gonna go two very different ways.
It's gonna go Kota,
because I've already, I've seen a lot of conversation of teams saying, we've actually, you got to remember, we introduced these new tires, these 18-inch tires fairly recently, and the tarmac here is pretty unique, and there's been no testing done of tarmac of this type. So we could go here, the tires could be a complete disaster, and it could be that limited practice makes it brilliant, or it could be it becomes a shit show and no one's passing and no one can do anything. And you're not going to have enough practice to actually sort it out in case there would be time to sort these things out.
Yeah, well, it's not even just the tyres. It's the first time we've seen the ground effect cars here.
That's just one point that is exacerbated off of normally the issue of coming to a new track and having a sprint there.
And the fact, like, I know
it's going to be either a different way.
Yeah, I know they were talking about how, like, they normally would have an idea of how the track is. Like, it's normally pretty abrasive, but they haven't really done, like, any racing here the last 5 years. Apparently there's only been, like, one race, like, a year or something. So it's very green.
So it's really been unused.
Yeah, and they don't know how it's evolved. They did have to do some track work because the FIA came and had a look at it, and they're like, certain parts of the track were too bumpy, so they're like, no, you have to smooth those out, particularly with the ground effect cars. So teams, as far as I can tell, teams are basically treating it as a brand new track, because it kind of is. Like, the surface
it's the first time the regs have come here. It's a complete unknown to surface.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. The surface is so different. Yeah.
There's nothing to really reference for recently. Yep. And as we say, it's the added pressure where they have one practice session and then it's a sprint weekend. Yeah. So there is a bit of a difference. I guess the one saving grace is that they're changing the weekend this year to make it a little easier if you do need to make a change. We had some cases last year where teams just took a grid penalty so they could make some changes they just really needed to do, and it was actually in their favor to do so. So they've changed the order a bit. There still will be your practice on your Friday morning. But then after that, you have your sprint qualifying rather than the old format where you had your race qualifying.
Which meant parc fermé, which means you couldn't change the car. So
exactly. So you have that. Then on the Saturday morning, you actually have your sprint race, which is a little weird to have a race in the morning side.
Yeah.
And I guess the benefit is for us, it actually gives us something on a better time zone to watch, which is quite nice. So there's a benefit there.
Yeah,
So we do that in the morning, and then there's actually a qualifying after that, which is, again, a little weird to wrap your head around. But it does open parc fermé after that, so they can make changes for that qualifying, learnt from their lessons. So even on a normal weekend, I think this is a nice balance, and it kind of ails some of the problems, that we and others talked about from last year.
Yep.
But given the concern of this track, I don't think it'll be anywhere near enough, but there's a chance it could still make it really good. We've come to situations like this, and it's been an absolute banger. Yeah. But it could also just be the worst thing we've ever seen, and it's like, oh boy, make some big changes for next year, please.
Yeah, well, I mean, the concern that I have is because the track is going to be so green and so dusty and so slippery, one car in the wall, red flag, session's over.
Yeah.
What did I do then? I don't know. Can they?
They just gotta be F1 teams. I guess that's what people say. Look, the drivers have got to sort it out. They're paid lots to be here. The teams are experts. They will deal with it. That's the thing. They will deal with it. It's just that it may not produce as good a racing as it could. And that's really what you're looking for.
Yeah,
it's like we know here it's been good. Even if we just look at this track, like, there's not many tracks, like, kind of all tracks feel a bit unique, but this place still feels really unique.
Yeah.
That endless turn 1 complex into the difficult turn 2 braking, into the turn 4 overtaking zone, into the sweepers that absolutely put so much load through your car in 5-6, into the hardest corner turn 8 you've ever seen, the weirdest like left apex that you kind of have to lift but don't, into the weirdest right turn onto the longest straight you've ever seen.
Yeah, that
into
right
the heaviest braking zone you've ever seen.
Yeah,
into the hardest left-hander to throw speed into the straight. Like, they just have nailed this circuit.
It's a good circuit,
It's just a good combo. It's really hard to set up for because you do have the longest straight ever, but you also have, like, the curbs, or rather the corners that put more load into the car than any other corner on the track. So it's like, do you go that area, that grip, or do you go for the long straight and just pray that you're not going to fly off the track?
Yep.
And we don't even know how the tires are going to go. It's like not even the 18-inch tires. These compounds, it's like they could bring the hardest tires and it could be crap. They could bring the softest tires.
Yep. Which is why they brought the 3 middle ones, I guess. They brought the C2,
they just went,
C4. Just fucking just split the difference and hope it works. But I get it is, I think the one thing that could go for it is that it's going to be, I think, relatively cool over the course of the weekend. Like, it's low 20s.
Average of 21, potentially a tiny bit of rain on Saturday, although unlikely,
see that,
and mostly slight wind. So it should be cool and not a lot of sun, and therefore, not burning hot track temps. It's just going to melt everything.
Yeah, the sprint race during the day will be interesting in the morning when the track is probably quite warm and also quite green. I'm curious what sort of tire strategy. Well, I think practice is actually going to be one you really need to watch, because you need to see how teams are going to have to run all 3 tires in the practice session. You would expect. I don't think you could not run all 3 tires. You have to know what what you need from the tires, particularly with the sprint race. It was like, okay, can we put the soft on, or is the soft going to die after 4 laps? Or can we run the hard?
And they'll have to be on their toes, looking what other teams are doing. Like you'll have to look at what other teams are doing, and even between your 2 cars, make sure both of your drivers just say, look, regardless of what you want to do, you've both just got to do something here. Yeah. You can do the soft, you could do the hard. Like we know it sucks, but. Maybe driver 1 gets the preference. I don't know, but they just,
Until it becomes a shit show, I'm excited because I have wanted to come back here for a while. But
it is something nice to look forward to.
And I'm somewhat wary of where it's going to end up, but we'll just have to wait and see.
We could come out of the weekend going, that's annoying, but there's enough anticipation, enough build up. That at least, and hopefully, if it is good, that means we have a good sprint, which may lead to an even better race. But we'll have to see. It's we literally don't know at this point. How can you know?
Yep, that's it. I guess the only other point that I had before I don't know if you had anything else before we get into predictions. This is the race where Ricciardo's getting his new chassis, which of course is the thing that's been holding him back for the first 4 weekends. So. This is where he starts getting consistent top 10s. Yep.
He has done very well here in the past, albeit in a Red Bull that can brake later than every car, plus then some.
Yep.
So if he's going to do it anywhere, I mean, his teammate has how much experience here? I think none. And he's one of some good memories here.
Yeah, he's one of 4 drivers never to have raced at Shanghai. The other 3 are Joe himself, Sargent, and Piastri. So.
Yep.
But
so there you go.
Ricciardo's new chassis. Keep an eye out for that. He's going to be absolutely rapid now. That's he's going to be a second faster than Tsunoda.
Why does this feel like this exact thing happened when he was with McLaren? I feel like this exact storyline played out.
Probably because it.
Yeah, the chassis changed there anyway. But yes, the only other trivia is that it has been 105 races since we've been here. It kind of feels like less than that, but there you go. There's a stat. We do need to go into predictions. We can, we've decided to do something new here because this is a brand new track and we're doing a brand new prediction season. So forget about what's happened so far. It's all level playing field. Okay, your turn. What have you got for P3? Oh, sorry, P2 in the sprint.
Is this a joke? You having a laugh?
What's a joke is my score. This is not looking good.
Yeah, I somehow managed to squeak out more points.
I know. Again. I was like, wow, that result wasn't expected. What did Mart get? He gets 2.
And I almost got 4 because I nearly got the Stroll P11.
I know. And
I was very close.
And I got 1. So the scores, you're on a big round 9 and I'm on a 5. There's still time. But
you're starting to stretch out a bit, isn't it? It's looking pretty dire.
I feel like every weekend I go, I'm going to go safe. And then I go, why did I pick this? It was obvious what the results were going to be. And now I'm going to go safe. And then I go, oh, no, it was completely wrong again.
Yeah,
why is Checo shit again? What's happening? That's the problem. It's the Checo factor. If I put him there, he's gone.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Like, if
I don't put him there, he's fighting for P1. I'm like, what are you doing? Go away.
Yeah. But now that he's got his contract for next year, now we'll start to see the cracks forming, maybe potentially.
So the real question is, P2 for sprint, is it Perez's P2? That's the question.
This Grand Prix, I think, could throw up the biggest surprise just because of how no one knows what's going to happen. You have to consider a Ferrari there as well. I think they're quick enough, and if they somehow manage to get it right, they could very well be up there.
I guess we didn't really go car by car. I guess we expect the Red Bull to do it quick. It's difficult with the long straight, but still the twisty stuff, because I guess it hurts different cars in different ways, so you almost just have to assume the relative pecking order is probably going to stay the same, but you could just see one of those top teams actually have a car that's brilliant here because we kind of haven't been to this type of layout before. Like Saudi's a bit similar, but that's a lot more on the high speed twisty stuff, so it's not the same.
Wouldn't even put that close.
Like, you even think about this, you go, yeah, but the Merc doesn't even feel that bad around here compared to those tracks, if it is even worse on the twisty stuff. So again, it goes into P2 for the sprint.
I still don't have an answer. So if you got something, you better...
Oh, okay. I mean, I was going fairly safe. I guess in my mind, I'm going, look, I think if the trend still seems to be that Checo is still starting kind of weak, but he's got enough to get back up there and secure the P2.
Yeah.
But is he going to do it in the sprint? Heck, he could even win the thing because sometimes he just wins a sprint. And it's like, good on you, buddy. Yep. But then who's in P2? Is it Max? No, we're not putting his name there. I'm 4 points behind. I can't just do things like this. So we'll put Sainz there. I think it's too hard not to put him there. Yeah. He's kind of on a roll, and you'd be even more difficult to bet against him after his pretty good showing this year so far. So I'm going to put him there. You are welcome to choose the same, but I implore you to choose differently so you can extend your lead.
Yes, okay. I was that was the first thought was Sainz as well.
It's
for
the
P2.
Easy pick. It's kind of a cop out
at this point. Yeah. So I guess the question is like I don't necessarily see anyone outside of Red Bull or Ferrari getting it still. I think it's after Japan they've kind of shown those two teams by far have the most complete car across the biggest range of circumstances and whatnot. So I think it's if you're a betting man, it's going to be one of those two teams. Seeing as I'm already that far ahead, let's play the fun game and say Max will get P2 and someone else will get P1 because I think there's a real chance. There's talks in the Red Bull camp. I don't know how serious they are, but they're like looking at the potential tire degradation and looking at how it happened in Melbourne, and they're like, if it's similar, then you could see a Ferrari up. I was just thinking about it.
That's probably the closest track that we have had.
Yeah.
And that showed that gap between Ferrari and Red Bull and the others, but the Ferrari was
quite strong.
Pretty spicy.
So I could see a world where they're completely 100 miles ahead, Red Bull, of everyone else, but I could see a world where Ferrari are quite close as well.
And look, in that sprint quali, it'll be the first time cars are going out there pushing. You could easily make a mistake.
Yep.
There could be red flags. You could get your lap lost. You could see a Ferrari here, especially a confident Ferrari driver, just getting it together and putting in a lap when Max is struggling with the limits. So
Definitely.
There's a storyline there. I admire you going for something different. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
So we do need to get our random position. You know, every time I've loaded this page, it always loads to 15. And I thought maybe it just loads to 15, but it didn't for once. And I think I was just rolling 15 every time.
Oh my God. It really wants us to pick. Maybe we should have that for next year. It's like who gets P15. The universe obviously wants us to do it. So
we got 7. Have we done 7 before?
No, we haven't. So you'd have to say it's probably going to be one of the top 5 teams, and probably not a Red Bull, and probably not a Ferrari. So it's one of the other 3 teams.
But the next 3,
it could be any of them.
Go Piastri. I'm going to take the Piastri.
Okay.
I feel like he's around there.
I'll say Russell.
Yeah, that was the other one.
Yep.
It's those two. They seem to be the ones fighting for P7, P8.
Does seem to be there, yeah.
Main race, I guess as we're saying. Could be all sorts happening here, but I suppose if anything, they do have a sprint race to kind of sort a few things out before that main race, even before that main race qualifying, because they don't do that on the Friday anymore, so they do have another qualifying session to sort things out.
Yep.
Do we suspect things will be different? I don't know. Do you? I've maybe hinted before that I'm just pussyfooting my way around this championship, so maybe I'm looking for you for content here. We need to hit ad revenue, so keep it up.
Ad revenue? What the?
No, there's no.
Oh, sorry, my mistake. No, okay. I haven't seen any of it. If we're getting any, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still haven't really made up my mind. I still think you have to say Max P1. Like, I don't know if you can. You can't. Regardless of how
you can't go against it. No, you can't.
Because I think you'll put Checo P2, I'll put him P3, I suppose.
Legend! Look at this guy! Wow!
Yeah, I'll put Sainz P2 because I think at the moment he's the better Ferrari driver at the moment. Right. I think particularly in qualifying, he's got the upper hand on Leclerc right now, which is something I didn't think I'd ever say, but. Again, this is a track where anything could happen. I think if a driver happens to get confidence really early in the conditions, if they manage to find a setup that works for their car really, really early on, they could be a big standout and someone that you don't expect. You know, like even an Alonso that he might be like, 10 minutes into the free practice session, he's like, got it. Car's working. I've got a setup that works, and everyone else is struggling to find something. And you could see Alonso right up there just for that reason alone. So
you'd not be surprised to see a lower team or two pick something up here if they just get it right. Feel good out there.
Could definitely see a Williams or a Haas or an RB in the points, and possibly even all three. I think there's a very good chance of that.
I guess this feels like maybe a track that might be one of the better ones for the Williams here.
I was thinking the same thing.
That could be strong here.
Yep. Yeah, I think a very good chance of points with Albon.
And just to finish up my predictions, I had the same drivers, but second and third swapped around.
Gotcha.
I mean, you probably guessed that.
Yeah.
So I think even if Checo maybe struggles to get to grips here, grips, it'll be slippery.
Funny.
Even if we saw at Australia, and if you remember that quali comparison, like the Ferrari overall was slightly quicker, but you really need to nail every corner. But that Red Bull looked strong in the corners, and it still was like the rocketest car down the straights. So even
it's
here,
still
you have to make a
so
compromise.
fast.
You feel like if they're at all behind someone, they're just going to close up and absolutely just shunder past them, like on that back straight, even on that main straight. And I feel like their car might even be really good into that T1. It just feels like the kind of car with that slow deceleration that the Red Bull could just be really solid through there.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to push against Checo just with the nature of the track. As long as the car's good enough, even if he's struggling, he should just be able to get through them. I mean, we said the same thing at Melbourne, and again, it depends what issues he had. And yes, he was kind of charging through before he had issues, but it feels like even more here, it should be possible for him.
Yep.
And he didn't really struggle at Japan too much, and that's a hard track. So I mean, look,
and considering his Japanese Grand Prix the previous year, he didn't show any signs of weakness.
Yes.
So
but if anyone was going to take it to him, your money is on Sainz, so I have to put him there. He's just on that surge, he's on that high. But if he's not there, then it could be an interesting story. Do we have a surge of McLaren that's suddenly doing well? Do we have a Leclerc that's got his steam back? So
I could definitely see McLaren there. I still don't think I can see Mercedes there. I think they've got way too much shit to work out. But
yes, unless they bring something big, that's right.
I could see McLaren there. I think they've got a strong enough car that
they're
they
always
could
just
be there
sneaking there.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they do so well in the quali, and then the race just isn't there. That was exactly Melbourne, but they could just do it here. They seem to be on the precipice,
Just about. And I think they said they want to try and similar how they did last year, just like upgrade the competitors as well. So
I did see that where they're saying really the second half is where we're going to be shining. So but they're starting from such a higher place here.
Oh, much
if
higher.
that is their plan.
Yep.
Should be good signs to come.
For sure.
Or not good for signs, I should say.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's end this thing before we... I mean, hey, all you out there, if you're here, thank you for listening, of course. We appreciate you as always. Let us know what you're predicting. Do you think this will be a snore fest? Do you think this will be the greatest race of this millennia?
That one.
It could be. It'll be that one. There you go. That's our first comment. But anyway, we hope you're looking forward to it. Make sure to set lots of time aside because you'll have to watch the sprint and the main race if you want to get all the action in. But as always, we will be back afterwards, hopefully in a more timely fashion this time, to debrief it all for you in case you need to know the details. We'll be here this time to pick it all up for you.
Definitely. Probably.
Easy.
Maybe.
No, cut!